Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Please, if you can hear me, kindly just comment hi, hello in the chat. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. I hope you are doing well. Hello, good afternoon. Hi, can you hear me? Okay, good afternoon. I hope you are doing well. Kindly share the link to anybody that you believe will be needing this session. This session is made for business owners, creators, students, anybody that wants to get into the creative space, anybody that is in doing anything creative, taking videos, writing stories, and all of that. So I'd love you to share the link. Just click the share and then share the link to a friend, a sister, a brother. We'll circle back in the next 2-3 minutes and then we'll start. So kindly share the link to someone and let's start. And if you know anybody that has registered, just prompt the person that it is time. Thank you.
Get free music on mdundo.com. music on mdundo.com.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Rave Connect. This is a webinar series that we'll be having every month. What we're trying to do here is to educate you on things that are upcoming tech trends, how to maximize digital platforms for your benefit. And today we are going to be talking about digital storytelling that converts. And we have our guest who is already ready here, ready to share his knowledge with us, ready to share his some experience that he has gathered from his work. Um, I've personally known him for about 6 years, and he's been doing so much in this creative field. And then, trust me, he has a lot to share. So, our guest is Oforianka Kofi. He is the founder of creators.com, and he has over a decade of hands-on experience in video documentaries, motion graphics, and collaborating with other artists and businesses. He has done so much. I mean, I've worked under him. I've seen some of the stuff that he does, and he's the best person to teach us how to convert storytelling, how to make people converse from our storytelling or our content that we are creating. So without talking much, I don't want to go much into his bio because his bio is really packed, and we've already spent some time waiting for some of us to join. So don't forget to still share the link though. But I'll be I'll be welcoming Oforianka Kofi on stage now. And hi Kofi. Hello,
Yeah,
Kofi.
boom, John, what's up?
Kofi, I'm not
Can you hear
sure
me?
we can hear you.
Right. I was asking.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you now.
Right. So, what's up? I hear you've been saying a lot about me. I hear you say a lot about me. Then I have to come up with more value. So, as we discussed earlier yesterday, I tried to put a few things together that can make sense because I wanted us to get more into like Q&A, so people can just get more value from that. John, are you okay? Can you hear me? Oh, she can't hear me. So John, I can hear your music. There's a music you are playing at the back.
Great. Okay, I think it was my network. I can hear you now.
Yeah, you had some music at the back. So it's good?
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, we're good.
Right. So, folks, my name is Oak. Like John said, the name is a bit long. So, Oforianka Kofi, you know how like we have these long Ghana names, and I had to like shorten it, so you can just call me Oak. So we've done some great work together. Me and Joanne is like super amazing. she know how to turn things around and come up with great ideas and also execute. So um, we've done some cool things together. She talked to me about this event, and I've been thinking about how to actually like bring value. So I was telling her that we should spend more times on Q&A, so like people can ask more questions as to what they are working on, because in our field, like if you've done anything creative, you realize there is no like advice, there's only like guides, right? Like uh, I can point you maybe something that works for me, but it might not necessarily work in the context that you're working in. So I'm very particular about the QA session. If you're actually working on something, I think we can make it more contextual to what you're working on, so you can get more value from that than like making it all like high level, abstract stuff, right? So that's how I want us to approach it. But I've put some things together. I promised Juan to share it, but I didn't share with Juan. So let's just get into it. Or Juan, is
Oh,
there anything that you want us to go through before we get into some of these ones?
no,
Yeah, I
no,
did. I
please go
put some things together, but
ahead.
yeah, I just put some things together this morning, and then I had to share with you, but Charlie, I was
Oh,
tired.
please go ahead.
Sure. So right. Um, so introduction, right? So I think that I was thinking about this for like a while. Like I think I heard it somewhere that inspiration is the highest thing one can like offer to people, right? And why I think that is important. I think that's the first thing I want to talk about is that like everybody is creative, right? But the the challenge is to get inspired, even with like solving your own problems, right? When it comes to say convert, when they say convert, like when you watch a video or watch a piece of art, you want your audience to take an action. So you want to know how you can tell stories that make people take action. Basically, that's it. But mostly the action that you want them to take is to mainly to solve their problems. So maybe you have a service, you have a solution, you have a business, or you have a service that somebody might need. But to even get them to solve their own problem, you need to inspire them. That's the whole point. So I think inspiration is the highest human thing that we can do to each other. Apart from that, I think there's not much that you can, even if you give somebody money or resources and they don't have the inspiration to do something with it, or they don't have an image of something they want to do in their head, it's difficult to actually make any change. To even sell drugs, you need to inspire someone to actually, solve their own problem. So I think basically that's one thing I want to put out. And why is that important to me and what I do? Because I think most of the things I do is inspired by a lot of things that like I experience, from music to art, culture, uh, you know, YouTube, everything that I watch is inspires what I do in some type of way. I had to actually think about some of the things that actually fit into some of the things I've done, so I can maybe pinpoint it. So I put those things down. I'll try and hit it on those ones. But then basically, I think if you want to make anything cool, you first need to think about focus more on inspiring people. Whatever you are selling or whatever you're trying to push, instead of focusing on say, I have this product, it's cool, it's polished, it has X amount of value. That's how much engine I've put into it. That's how much whatever I put into it. Put all that thing aside and start thinking about how do I inspire the person that watches my piece of video, because people don't actually go on social media or turn on the TV to watch commercials. That's not why anybody buy data to watch these platforms. So when you go there with the thinking that, oh hey, I want to just put my thing out and just do my business, I'm all about business, share my product and all that, nobody really cares. But when you inspire people, it works. So you have to pay attention to what people actually connect with. And I think one of the things I learned from Seth Godin, he's like an OG marketer. He writes books and stuff like that. He had a book called This is Marketing. And I think one of the things that stood out for me was that he said, people like us do things like this. And I think as human beings, we are very like cultural people. Like we have all these small groups that we belong to, that like whether those are football teams or like whatever, like all these kind of small cultures that we circle around and we have conversations around. We all have like every small niche culture have these kind of element that makes them think this is makes them unique or makes them stand out in a way or makes them want to belong to that particular group. And I think if you want to talk to any niche group, you need to actually understand them or even feel what they do. And that leads me to the next thing that I want to talk about with the inspiration thing. If what you're going to put out that doesn't make you feel anything, it's not probably going to connect with anybody. So I've my thinking around creatives has always been like, whilst I'm working on the thing myself, I need to feel something about it. It needs to make sense to me in some way. Not necessarily make sense to me, but I need to feel great about it in some way. Like not only about say, oh, I know about let's say cinematography, so everything needs to be polished in a certain way, or the camera needs to be in a certain position. But um, one way to explain it is like this: when you see memes, right? I take a lot of inspiration from memes on social media. The other day, I was telling someone that what I do is that I try to republish like memes and put it out there because memes is one of the most simplest, basic, non-polished way of communication. And the moment you see it, you understand it, connect with it, and you feel it, and then it's culturally oriented because all the visuals you see there has context in films and music and music videos and things that we see every day. And if it's like if you know type situation, and when it hits you, you know what it is. So I think that we need to like if you want to create for a certain group, try and understand what they actually make sense to them or how they share stories or what they value, and then try and create something that makes you feel what they feel in some way. Because once you understand what those things mean to them, then when you listen to that beat or you listen to that track or you see that transition somewhere, or you are picking some textures to put on something, you know that it means something to some people. And then you know how somebody felt about it when he was speaking about that particular thing in an interview or some piece or something that you saw somewhere, right? So try and understand the people, not just like, oh, I'm doing research, but and all these things I'm saying are things that happen in my everyday life without necessarily having like a script or like any commissioning or somebody sending me a job yet. Like this is even before any brief, any client will send any brief. I'm always looking into okay, how is like these Barcelona people. I'm not really like a football type person, but the past 2 years I've been trying to understand how that works because I know like everybody pays attention to it except myself. But I still struggle with it and I still don't connect with it. And that's the thing. If you know me, I've not done anything much in sports because I'm not like very athletic person. So I don't even get those type jobs, right? But the point is, all these things I'm saying is prior having like a brief or anybody calling you to say, do this thing for me. You have to be generally curious. Everything that I'm saying so far points back to one thing, being curious, right? Staying happening out there and what's happening in other people's life. And not necessarily individual people's life, but in groups, right? When you see trends and you see things going on, try and pay attention. Why did this thing work? Why is everybody paying attention to it? Was it the music? Was it the transition in that video? Was it anything? Just try and pay attention. And the other thing too is that when you see things online or when you see things anywhere, that makes you stop and feel something or connect with anything. Pay attention to those moments. Anytime you notice something, anything grabs your attention, take note of it. So whether you carry notebooks around or you have like some small camera or even your phone or your notebooks. I mean these note apps have anything that grabs your attention anywhere, try and record it because those are the things, right? Like those are the things that you'll be needing when the brief comes in. So all this stage, you are collecting material. I think as a creative person, as you're moving through the world, your thinking should be to collect materials you can use for your work later. Pay attention to what people are listening to. When you go to the market and then you see a bunch of old women dancing to a music, pay attention to what kind of music is that? Like, why are they dancing to that thing? Why in all the music library that we have, all the things that the DJ can play, that's the particular thing that they are listening to. Pay attention to it. And it really grabs your attention, write it down or take note of that song. These days, there's Shazam and all these things. Like basically try and just pick on stuff, things that you can take note of, things that you naturally like, take note of, that grabs your attention in the universe or in your community. Just pay attention to those things, like just note them and write them down because you need them later. And I think at this point, like if you are that type of person that keeps note of all these and keep notes, keep writing all these things down, by the time like a client calls you and sending a brief, whatever is in there in the brief and they're trying to speak to, something that you've taken note of or something you've paid attention to or in your memory or somewhere in your notebook will strike you like, oh, okay, maybe we can start from here. It can be a transition from a video that goes like, okay, we can do it this way, but we're going to use this transition from that video. We're going to use that bit from this place. So more or less for me, when it comes to making material not for just aesthetic reasons and for marketing reasons, right? Like things that I expect people to take action. My thinking is more like a DJ than somebody who's coming to create anything new. In that mode, I don't really see myself as a creator. I see myself more like a curator or a DJ trying to mix things up. So I'm thinking bringing all pieces, like different pieces, just like a collage or a meme, just like building a meme. So I'm just bringing things that people are familiar with. Because when it comes to marketing, sometimes you want to be original. You can be original, right? But then you have to reference from things that people are familiar with because you have a very short period to normally tell your story and get to your point. So you don't have like a whole 12 12 season or 12 episodes to introduce characters and build all that. These days you can do that with social media over time, but I'm talking about things that just go out there, get a point across, and get people to click and take the action and understand why they are clicking, right? So, but apart from that, everything I've said can also be spread into bit-sized pieces and take your time to introduce people to things small and build momentum over that. So it just, the way I look at it, it's just you spreading it over time or squeezing it into 30 seconds that makes sense for people. So, that's what I'm thinking about it. But when it's that short, you don't have the time to introduce too many things to people, right? So you can't be too original with abstract concepts that people don't understand yet. You want to get them to be familiar with what they know at the time and build the story from there and just offer your value, right? So, Jay, are we okay? Is the sound okay? Are we still good? I don't get any feedback.
Yes, we're good. We're good. Everything is fine. I think that our guests are also enjoying the lessons. I can see them sending fire emojis and other stuff in the chat. So you're good.
Okay, cool. I wasn't sure about my sound. So, what's the other thing to right? So I just going to go through some of the things that I've been watching. I think that's important because you can only repurpose what you see. Like, I mean, you can call yourself original and all that, but you still get material from somewhere, right? Like you still see things. There are people that inspire you. So, and I've been watching a lot of things, right? So, and mainly I watch technology. I had to read it because I needed to actually write them down because I watch a lot of things. I just need to make it clear the things which are more important. Most of the things I watch are technology stuff, and the second thing is mainly hip hop and everything hip hop adjacent. So everything in hip hop oriented culture, the clothing, the merchant drops, everything hip hop. I'm paying attention to it, and yeah, I watch a lot of comedy. I also like history and religion. I'm very interested in you know those things. And I also watch a lot of science videos, but mainly it's geared towards like evolution stuff and like those weird things that how would I put it, like how would I put it, T-Rex, what's the name, the dinosaurs. They talk about these dinosaur stuff and all that. I'm very interested in those type videos. And I realized all this morning because I've not been paying attention to these things. So I had to like really go through the things that I watch and see which ones make sense. But I think among all those things, I think what happens is this: like when you have like a broad like palette of things that you are watching and you are consuming, it allows you to fish something from somewhere, right? So and you make interesting connections that on a normal day somebody might not see, right? Because normally when people think about, let's say, corporate videos, for instance, I make a lot of corporate videos, right? But what I see is this: a lot of people think that corporate videos needs to be there's a certain type of song beat that you have to play, because when you put corporate video on YouTube, there's a certain type of song that you get. But when I'm making a corporate video, I'm going like Asake type beat. That's why I put it in the YouTube, Asake type beat. Or I'm looking for something like Swiss beat or something like. And my thinking is this, right? Maybe it might be a corporate video, but the audience that these people are trying to talk to have nothing to do with that serene, slide like, like that kind of video, because that type video is more of like for educational videos. Those are more of like internal videos that they might use for educational materials. Those needs to be serene with some lo-fi type beat, something very cool. But if that same corporate is trying to talk to everyday audience, you need to pay attention to what the market woman is listening to. That's what's going to speak to them. If they are not trying to speak to the market woman. So most of the time, what happens is this: the people who actually pay for the creative is not even your audience, or they are not even really the client. The guy that pays for the budget, right, is not really the guy you are trying to please. Sometimes if you pay too much attention to, oh, this is corporate, this is what I think they will like, you are going to ruin their work, because they themselves might hire you because of like, I think most of the reason why people might want to work with me is because of maybe my context with the culture, right? Like it's not necessarily because um, I know how to position a camera, or I can shoot better with a drone, or maybe use the software in any special way. But I think, just like I said, just like the DJ, and I know which songs to play to start a party, right? And I think that's basically, if you take anything from this section, I think that's what you should pay attention to. You shouldn't overthink it. Just put a thing together for people to understand it in a way that makes sense to them, in a context that makes sense to the people. So, and don't always think that like the guy that's paying for the thing is the person that you're actually making the thing for. They might not understand it yet, but when they see the numbers later, they'll get why those songs was chose, or those textures was used, or it went that way. So I think that takes care of somewhere around the brief. So by the time, I mean, the person send you the brief. Um, Normally, brief is normally when somebody hits you in the WhatsApp and say this is what they want to do. If they are more like they have like a more advanced marketing team, or they have like more structure around their storytelling, they might have like a proper brief that explains everything. They might even put in some things that they've seen, or the direction that they are going. But normally, most briefs comes on WhatsApp. Maybe I took your number from this person. I want to put out this product. How can you help me? Maybe they'll send you something that they've seen somewhere, and then basically that's a brief. So, and at that point, by the time you ask them a few questions, what do you do? Maybe they explain the product, the industry that they are in, like the type, the pricing, and then, I mean, based on the pricing, you should know the type of people that they are trying to sell to. So, by the time you reach that point, you kind of know if you've been watching a lot of things and not just like maybe just one narrow down on one thing, like say only on social media, but a lot of things across like different places. You should like know what you might want to do with something, like some things that you might put together, or at least a starting point, like something that's that. It shouldn't necessarily be a full story. It can be like a transition. It can be how you see the videos being transitioned from one to another. You don't know the pictures yet, but you know the transition. You might not know what the pictures look like, but you know how the video is going to sound like. There's something should start, and wherever you start doesn't matter. But at least, like at that point, something should start. Like something should strike you somewhere. I'm going to start from here, and you build on top of it. And um, yeah, so I think that would be for the brief side of thing. I think Joanne, maybe after this one we can like really put this one together proper and maybe share it. Like maybe the way I'm going through, I don't think I'm actually like following
Sure,
it proper
definitely.
proper.
Right?
Yeah.
Sure,
Right.
sure, sure, sure.
Yeah. It's not plenty, but I mean, yeah. So I think from there, after you have the brief and you discuss like the deliverable. So mainly it's just like one big idea, and then you look at other ways you can chop the idea into different parts for different purposes, right? So these days everything is moved by social media, and social media you need to like chop things up and grip it, so like release it over time. So every always you have to like think about how you chop that big idea into small pieces. So all that part, like you discuss it right after the brief, you have like um meetings with the person, you discuss it, like you have maybe a few phone calls, what exactly the number of maybe videos you'll be sending, or like the number of things you have to do for them. And then you discuss budgets, right? And for budgets, normally people will ask me like, so does the quality of the thing depend on the budget the person is paying? I think um, I said like we don't pay too much attention to original ideas, but if you mix it right, like it becomes an original idea, right? So I think with every idea that we put out is sort of like fresh and new, but how much let's say you're building like a 3D film, right? With say 1x budget, right? We can do the 3D in just skeletons, right? We can just do it with stick figures. Same story, same high value content, like same idea, same big picture, right? But then the execution would be as to how much time and resources we can put together. Because for me, I think at the base of it, all the ideas has to be high value, big picture idea, right? You don't go like, oh, this person has like a small budget, so and he's a small client, so I'm not going to like uh, go all in, do the research or put things together the way that will help them. So put the original idea in place, but now you have to think. So if you have to say do an original score, you know that you're going to pay somebody to do like an original music for the commercial. So that's going to cost extra, right? But this one, we don't have money for that kind of audio. So maybe let's take something from YouTube that is like royalty free. So you cut costs from that place, but then it doesn't spoil that original idea. Because I think when you have like you build on top of original ideas, it keeps building, right? When you start introducing like templates and things that are just like you pick it somewhere, you just slap it because you think somebody like that did the same thing. That is where you spoil the whole story thing, because it might be just one-off project for you, but when you do it well and it's a very deep oriented idea, maybe the first thing that you do for the client might be like a stick figure type commercial where you just did some 3D stuff with just stick figures. The next time he has more money, so now we can put flesh on those stick figures. Now we can hire somebody to do high quality texturing. Now the next time the story is so original, people like it. Now we want to do the thing in VR to make it more interactive. Then you keep on adding to it. But I think the main concepts, the main ideas has to be as dope as possible. But then you only can do much with like how much resources you have and time you have. And the more resources they want to throw at it, the more details you can, or more, different levels of taste you can take it, right? So I think that's how you have to look at it. And the budget shouldn't affect the originality of the idea or how much thinking you put into the idea. I think the main idea has to be dope, and you don't have to like flop on that. But then the execution can always be done with different, ranges of like, budgets, because something can be shot on iPhone, something can be shot on Red Epic, right? And these days, you can actually tell the difference, right? And there's reasons why you might want to shoot certain things on Red Epic, and certain reasons you might not necessarily need to shoot anything on, like shoot on an iPhone, right? But that's not what we're discussing here. But the point is, like, there are different, like, stages you can put things in. But the original idea has to be dope, all right? But you can use different sets of tools to execute it. So think about it this way. If you're a small construction team, you might use like a shovel and some wheelbarrows, right? But you're a high, tech moving company trying to build a skyscraper, you might want to use something like, cranes and things like that. So I think that's how you look at it. But the original idea still remains the same. It doesn't mean if you're building like a small house, because the budget is low, you're going to cut corners with design, right? If you cut corners with design, whether it's a big building or small building, it will still collapse. So the design and the idea has to be original and rooted in like truth and good research. And you can build it from there. Jay, your thing was flickering. I don't know if we are still in.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Right. Yeah.
It's great.
Your end was dead, so I couldn't hear. Right. So
Yes.
after that, like from here, we just move on to the execution of the project itself. Mainly, the execution process, you are just trying to bring everything together, right? Most of my work I do is mostly in the post-production, right? I do less work on the field these days, but basically, if you go out there and you are shooting, you are just gathering the material. Think about it like you're just bringing in the material, right? And I think a lot of things happens in the pre-production, the stages of discussing the actual thing with the client, and then the pre-production. Those are the two places most of the action happens. Those are the two places the actual storytelling happens. I believe. I think that's where most of the things actually happen, because a lot of things can be done in those places, right? So in those two places, most of the thinking, without talking more about tools, how to use tools and all these things, mainly what you are doing is what I said earlier. You are just assembling things. You are just trying to assemble things. You are trying to build a meme, but maybe in a polished way, or in a way that is more like brand oriented or more aligned with your brand. But you are trying to, tell your story in a culturally relevant way, in a way that makes sense to the people, that when they see it, they go like, this is how people that looks like me do things. That's what you want people to take away from everything that you put out, the thing that you're putting out. People should feel like this is how people that looks like me, this is how we move. You want them to own it. You want them to start sharing it. You want them to see themselves in the thing. So representation really matters. So yeah. And the last thing I want to talk about also is also setting creative boundaries and constraints, because the creative process, and I learned this the hard way, because you might end up having too many ideas or going too many directions and not coming up with anything, right? So I think before execution, try and create some boundaries, especially based on your budget and based on the time you have for the project. Try and set boundaries as to how much you want to go, because I mean, the if you know, like, I mean, there's infinite things you can do. Like, there is a lot of things you can do. So set constraints as to how much time you want to work on that particular project, and um, I mean, how much you want to go into, let's say, putting details on it, or maybe how much revisions you want to go for it, or set some type of constraints that blocks you from not doing anything, just going on around trying, saying that you have to gather inspiration and all that. No, 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 no. So find a way to lock yourself in at some point. And I think I'm just going to run you through the tools that I've been using over the years. So I think on top of the list, now I'm using more of the Google suite. Like, I'm a Google guy. I barely use anything Microsoft. So from all the Google Docs, the Google Office products, to the G Suites, Google Cloud, everything I'm building is on Google. So everything Google, right? I think it makes sense more to me. And the second thing is Unreal Engine. Um, I also use TypeScript and C Sharp. So JavaScript, but I prefer the TypeScript library because it's much easy to write with AI. And I also use the the Adobe Suite. So I use the After Effects, Premiere Pro, and these days I don't use the Audition that much. Adobe has some new AI tools for audio editing. So that's what I use in the cloud. I think it's called Adobe Podcast. So most of my suites are Adobe, Google, Unreal from Epic Games, and um, TypeScript and C Sharp. So I use C Sharp for most of like art visualizations in Unity and Unreal, and then TypeScript for anything web and um, web interactive. So basically, those are the things I use. So anything within the that space or anything I spoke about, I mean, we can get into Q&A about that and bring more value in that direction.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you so much. I think that there has been a lot that has been shared so far. But before anybody starts to ask their questions, I would want to just put up one question. So I mean, you've spoken about a lot. You've actually spoken about how to make your content converse, speaking about understanding the people, their culture, what they can relate with, what they can connect with, and all of that. But I want you to quickly put it in a little context for business owners and then people who just want to create content. Like somebody maybe probably wants to be an influencer or something like that in the chat, right? So just a little context for a business owner, for someone who wants to be a content creator, right? How can they basically use their basic social media, CapCut and Co, to be able to convert? I think you were mentioning something about the time limit and all, but if you could just hit on it again. Thank you.
Right. I think even my end, the internet is a bit slow. Right. Sure. So I think with every business that you're doing, right? Um, when you're approaching content, approach it from the place of you want to inspire someone, because whatever you are doing, right, you want them to take some action, and you don't want them to take the action because you call yourself an influencer or you call yourself a CEO. Nobody cares about that, right? That's not why I buy data. I buy data because maybe I want to entertain myself, or I'm doing something I want somebody to edge me on, or I'm trying to build something. I need a solution, right? So as we are offering that solution, don't just offer it because, oh, I'm the best in the game. I have that. I have this. I have that, right? But offer it in a way like how Nike could do it. How Nike will tell you, what's the thing again? Just do it, right? Nike don't come to you and say we have the best shoes. He tells you, just do it. He inspires you. So come from that same thinking, from a place of that says, I'm trying to inspire this person. But as you are going, like, remember my brand, remember this brand, remember this guy that showed up for you. And over time, what people would associate in their head is that, like, they will make an association that you support their visions and their goals and where they are trying to go, and you want to help them. And anytime they need any solution or any help in that direction, because obviously you will not be talking about something which has nothing to do with your business entirely. So you find a way to put your brand and what you do in there. So as you do that, over time, people will associate what you do with where they are trying to go, and then you helping them along the way. So I think that's what you do basically. So wherever you fit, whether an influencer or a business, I think that's how, yeah, you think. I think you should look at it.
Okay, thank you so much. I think that was clear enough
My internet
and
was
straight to the point. So
hello, are we still here?
yeah, so please, any questions? We've heard so much from Oak. He has shared a whole lot. I'm sure some of us will have to re-listen to it to be able to digest it. But he's spoken a lot.
Yeah, I think we should do more
So
Q
if
and
you have
A.
any questions, but before as we are waiting for their questions, can you aside CapCut, can you maybe speak on some tools that these business owners, content creators can use? Because not all of us are familiar with the Adobe suite.
So Adobe, everything Adobe has in their professional suites, they have another suite called Adobe Express. So Adobe Express has almost all the small tools for video, graphics, illustrations, and on top of it, they build, like, like a lot of AI on top of it, and you can access it through your mobile and any small device like, tablets and Chromebooks and all that, and it's on the cloud, so you don't need any fancy editing machine to do it. So anything that these days we do with After Effects, there is some version of it on Adobe Express, and I think they charge monthly for it. It's more of like a product that they are trying to use to compete with Canva, right? So it's kind of Adobe version of Canva. So you can think about it. But I think also Canva is also a really powerful tool, because now Canva has like a connection with what's the other thing? Oh, they bought a company recently. When I
Affinity?
remember the name out, yeah, they bought Affinity recently, and Affinity is like a big creative tool, right? So leaning in on Canva as a business owner too is a good plan, because when you hit the wall with the let's say the templates and you are tired, you can hire like a professional designer who uses Affinity to bring you more original things. So I think it's a good, connect there. So I think Canva, and then also the Adobe Express tools is great. I would recommend those, because they have a lot of things happening in there, from audio, everything that you be using there, professional ones they have there.
Okay. So that's Canva, Adobe Express, and CapCut. Please, any questions? How can we use digital storytelling to convert audiences to become our clients or loyal audiences? I know Oak has spoken about understanding the audience, their behaviors, the things that they connect with, and then speaking to them through those things so that they can easily connect with those stuff. But maybe you had a question before coming and you still not heard the answer. So you could just drop your question in the comments and we'll respond to it. I'm trying to see if I have any other question whilst everybody is quite quiet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the questions are coming through from YouTube, right? Because the
They're
stream
coming
yard
to
thing I
from
have here, I
YouTube.
don't see the questions.
Oh, yeah. So there are no questions in the chat right now.
Okay. Let me see if there's anything I wrote here I didn't touch on. Then maybe we can go through that.
Sure, that'd be great.
Oh, okay. I think I had my comedians I watch and all that. I don't think that's so important. Okay, so I watch a lot of Aka Ebenezer,
Okay.
right? Like, he's one of my superstars, like for real. And then Dave Chappelle. So Dave Chappelle is more of like, I don't watch a lot of news and I don't follow a lot of politics, but every other season, he's the guy that he wraps all the political things that are going on around the world, whether it's from like all the way from US to everywhere, and makes jokes about it. So he's like my go-to source for political conversations. So like that's one of the places. And I mean Joe Rogan, I bet that one you might know about him. And Basket Math. I think there's a question.
Okay. Yeah, there's a question that I just put on this screen. The question is, have you ever experienced a breakdown in your creative flow, and how do you overcome that?
A breakdown as in, say, creative block or, so I'll assume that he means like creative block or like you run into the wall where you don't know what to do next, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So I think what happens with creative block is this. Like it used to happen to me a lot when I was like in NAFTI and in my early days when I was in Accra. I came to Accra first. I was trying to do everything, right? And I wasn't as smart as I am now because I wasn't taking breaks, right? So like even like during the day. So the other thing with my workflow within the day is like this, right? So I don't work for like long hours sitting at the same spot. So I break it into like 40 1 hour drops, right? So I sit for like 40 minutes to 1 hour. I do something and then I move. I go and do something else. I can go and make some phone call for like a while, or maybe go press my phone or go and find some funny things to see or something like that, and then come back later. So within my work, I don't sit at the same spot for a very long time. I realize that often happens when like you are doing the same thing for a very long time, and then you start feeling more like the thing that was supposed to make you feel good while you're doing the thing, you're getting good feedback from the creative you are doing, you are feeling resentful about it because you are tired and you are trying to do this and you're trying to do that, right? And it happens a lot when like you have clients, feed like getting a lot of like client reviews, maybe you are trapped in the loop, you have deadlines. That's when those things happen. So when that you are in that situation, right? When you're in that type of like period where there's a lot of, back and forth with clients and all that, try and be conscious about taking breaks. And when you take breaks, like go do something else, right? Like go somewhere else. I don't know how your working environment looks like, but most times I'm working from home or I'm going to different studios, right? So I can pick how I put my breaks, but try as much as possible not to do the same thing for a very long time, right? So if you don't have the luxury of maybe taking a break from your desk and maybe you are working in a corporate environment, you have to stay in your desk. I think one other thing you can do is this. Maybe if you are working on something on design, maybe after an hour, switch to something that you have to work on audio. And that also comes back to the type of work you do, because a lot of people get hired for specific jobs. So they're an audio guy or they're a designer guy, but I kind of fit in different places. If people even ask me what I actually do, I just tell them I'm a designer because that's the only way to explain everything in one way. So I think if you are in that position where, and this is most of the job requirement requires you to do multiple things. So don't do the same thing for a very long time. When you're editing a video and you start realizing you're getting bored and you're not seeing the cuts, stop, go and do something else. Maybe go and reply to comments online or something and come back to it later. I think maybe that will work.
Okay. So the next question is, can you take us through how to create AI videos and also maintain consistent characters?
Yeah, your
That's
question is a
quite a
very
long
intelligent
process, but
question.
if you could go through.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like it's a very good question because the only problem with AI right now across everywhere is consistency, right?
Yeah.
So that's a big problem. I've seen people with some good budget do it on Hollywood and things like that. When you watch this film, there's a film called Creator. I think it was made by Denzel Washington's son, and it has some robots and all that. They had a lot of AI VFX in there, and I think somebody did a review on how they broke their VFX, but they had money. So if you have money, you can, whatever you're trying to create, you can feed, if it's, let's say, your own images, you can collect a lot of your own old images from your childhood up until like a lot of images, and then you give it to the AIs to train. So almost all the AI out there, like the Google ones to the Amazons, all the AI models, I think they have some type of way you can train them with your own, data. So the more data you have and money you have. The last time I tried to train my own AI, they sent me about 4,000 CDs bill for just, I think it wasn't like an image content. It was just some, um, like some text, some small text, and they sent me that bill. So it costs some money to train those AIs yourself. But you can do that if you have some money. So if it's this film that you are going into and you have the budget, I think you can do that. And there's so many ways you can use the AI in those areas. Like if you want to use one actor for in smaller age, like in younger age and old age and all those things, they have those things. Yeah, so you can do it. And I think they're even cheaper ones these days. Runway, there's an app called Runway, and I think they also have a very good AI platform. I've not used that for an entire project. Now, what I use AI for most is like cutting edges. So let's say if I want to remove the background of this video and put text and things in there, that process was a little bit difficult in the past. They call it rotoscoping. It takes a lot of time. And these days you can use AI to do it. So mostly I use AI for that. But for a full entire video production with AI, I'm yet to do something like that because you can't really, that's the problem. You can't really like, get it to be consistent. To get it to be consistent, you need a lot of data to train it for yourself. And yeah, and it applies to the same thing for everywhere. Audio AIs and even code AI. If you are trying to write code with AI, the same way, you can't get it to be consistent.
Okay, so I guess that your question has been answered, Precious. I think that one way you can try and be consistent, especially if you're generating videos, also is that maybe you generate an image of the character and then you save it up for the next time.
Mhm.
Then probably you can use the same character to generate another video. And yeah,
Yeah,
so
it
I think so
works.
far we have answered.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's also works. There's also, I think,
Yeah.
there's this tool, I don't remember the name. I think it's coming from Google. I think they call it Whisk or something. That tool you can like mix, give it different images and mix it up. I
Wow.
think it's called Whisk or
I'm not
something.
familiar.
Yeah, yeah. I think you can put
Let's see.
like Google Whisk into your thing or come Whisk or something like that.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So we'll put that in the comment. Sorry, in the caption of this video. When we publish it. Yeah. All right, Oak. It seems that all the questions are done. So if there's any last words you like to share with our viewers.
Last words. Mhm.
Last word.
Did I write anything? I didn't. So last words, right? I think what I would say to everyone watching this thing, whether you are like a business owner or a creative, is that understand that creativity is not like a job title, right? And um, maybe you can hire somebody that knows how to use a particular tool to do something, right? But when it comes to creativity itself, creativity is something that comes to humans just like we have any part of our body or whatever we have, right? And everything you are trying to do, even if you are trying to plan like a trip or a route from your house to your working place or to the market, and then you take a moment to think about how you are going to pick those cars to those places or how you're going to move within that space, you are being creative. So creativity is not only about aesthetics and things like that. And understand that like it comes back to problem solving, and most you are being creative almost every day. You just need to be more aware of it and be a little bit more proactive about how you take note of certain things, right? So there's a lot of there's a lot of things that you've seen that might have inspired you, that have made sense to you, that have might touch to you, like I said. But the problem is that because maybe you don't see yourself like, oh, I'm a creative guy, I'm a designer, or I don't have some type title or a degree in it, I'm not gonna take a note of it, right? But that might be like that thing that you need to tell your graphic designer in the brief, so he can make that piece of artwork that would turn your business into another thing. But you thought that, oh, it's not important. These things, these people drumming here was not important. So I think everybody is creative. So if something moves you or something strikes you or something grabs your attention, take note of it and collect it. Like think like a creative. I mean, it's not like we are not creative. You are already doing it, right? It's just that because you think you don't have a degree or a title on it, you don't have to. No, no, no. It's not like you are doing it every day, but you can be a little bit more proactive about it so we can like benefit from it even more. Because I think every business owner knows if they pay attention small, can come up with things that would help their brand scale in so many ways. Maybe they might not be paying attention to it because they think that's not like their department. So I would say, as young people, um, let's stop thinking too much about department titles, roles, and all these. Whether you're a director or a designer or a software person or whatever, and just think about it like, hey, I'm just here to solve my problems, right? I'm just here to solve my problems. So, um, you know, yeah, I think that's what I'll say.
Yeah, I perfectly agree with you because I think that's when we are able to pay attention, a little attention what is around us, and then okay, the people that are target audiences or our customers will be able to do so much. Some of the largest and the greatest businesses do come from people who just paid attention to the little problems around, and then they were able to create a solution from that. So thank you so much, Oak. It has been a very insightful session. I really enjoyed it so much. I'm sure that our audience enjoyed it as well. Yeah. So thank you so much once again. And to you that joined us this afternoon, thank you for joining us. We will be here again in February. We are going to be talking about the top trends, the top tech trends in 2026. And you don't want to miss it. You want to come and know some new trends, some new tools that you can use in your daily life, your business, wherever you find yourself. So join us again next month. And do well to follow us, Ravis Media, on all social media platforms. And do also subscribe to this page as well, and stay tuned for the announcements for next month's webinar. Oh, will you say something? Okay, you're muted. Oh, okay. I think he was just signing out. So thank you so much for joining us today. And make sure to leave a comment on our social media and even under this video of how insightful the session was to you. Okay, Oak is back. Hi, Oak.
Oh,
I
Charlie,
think you
it's
were
me. Oh,
saying something.
I was trying to take a screenshot of the thing, and my hand was holding the hook. Yeah, the way I put the phone
Okay.
there, I can't just access the thing, so it was funny.
Oh, sorry about
Yeah.
that.
Right. So I
But are
think
you able
we're
to take
done,
the
right?
screenshot now?
Yeah.
Okay, then that's great. Okay, so thank you once again for joining us this afternoon. This is Rave Connect by Ravis Media, and see you next month. Bye.
Get free music on mdundo.com.